Hi guys, today I just want to kind of go through with you a PowerPoint that I created about Wyoming. I made it a year or two ago, but I think it's all still good information. Okay, so just basic stats on Wyoming. Population's about 578,000. There's about 45,000 U.S. veterans in Wyoming. We have the highest percentage of veterans living in Wyoming compared to any other state. I guess the highest percentage of veterans for our population. There's, I think, a lot of reasons for that, and maybe I'll go into that in a little bit. Median home value in Wyoming is $220,000. I'm guessing that's a little bit higher at this point. This was, like I said, about a year ago, maybe closer to 2 years ago. So things have been going up. I know places like Gillette have really skyrocketed in the last year. Sheridan started skyrocketing a few years ago. Everything's just high because there's still a high demand for housing and a low supply. No one's selling their house. And the new construction has really slowed down. So there's a housing shortage pretty much everywhere in Wyoming. If you know someplace in Wyoming that doesn't have a housing shortage right now, comment down below and let me know where that is. The median household income for the entire state is $64,000. That also is probably climbing because there's a shortage of workers. We have a pretty low unemployment rate, and I think you can pretty much get any job you want. We are the 10th largest state by size, but we have the smallest population. We have even a smaller population than Alaska. That's a really cool picture that my husband actually took of 10 bull moose up on the Bighorn Mountains, just out in the field. The best time that we have found to find these big groups of moose, which is so weird to see multiple moose, especially a bunch of males, in the same place. End of May, up on the Bighorns, off of Highway 14, alternate route Highway 14. We see them there every year around the end of May. So right around Memorial Day, great time to take a cruise up the mountain, take 14A. You can get a little bit out, even if it's still closed. You can still get to where we see the moose. And if you go close to sunset, you're going to see moose. I can almost guarantee you. So this slide is just about some of the benefits or reasons why people move to Wyoming. They're moving here a lot of times because they like the outdoor life. They like the wildlife. They like to hunt and fish and camp and ski and hike. These are all things that obviously people in Wyoming like to do and have easy access to. They like the slow pace here. We're not exactly on island time like, say, Hawaii, but things definitely are slower. You can't be like this. You can't come from the city and expect things are going to get done like you're used to getting in the city. There's not as many people doing whatever it is you need done. And so they're all very busy. And you just have to learn to have patience. So maybe that's something you'll learn when you move to Wyoming, is to have patience that you might not feel like you have to have where you're coming from. You're just going to have more time to yourself, I feel like here. There's less distractions. We have good schools, and stuff's pretty quiet here. This is a place where it's kind of like the Cheers bar, but it's the whole state. Everybody knows your name. So there's really no anonymity in Wyoming, especially if you get involved in any big organizations. Speaking of politics, people are going to know your name pretty quick. And the other thing is, when you move to Wyoming, you need to learn to wave at strangers because everybody waves here. Okay, let's talk about the weather in Wyoming. If you want to move to Wyoming, you have to be okay with bad weather. Now, do we get tornadoes? On the eastern side of the state, we do get tornadoes. You're going to be more likely to get tornadoes, I feel like, if you live in Cheyenne and Gillette, that eastern prairie area, they do get tornadoes. Gillette a few years ago had a pretty good one go through, take out a couple houses. And then back in the early, I can't remember, like 2005, maybe earlier, back before then, maybe it was 1999, one hit the town of Wright and took out a lot of trailer houses. So we do get tornadoes. We don't get them like so much as, say, it's Kansas or someplace else in Tornado Alley, but it seems like Tornado Alley has expanded to the west a little bit and now has incorporated like Gillette and Cheyenne. So we do get that. One of the things that we also get a lot of around here actually is hail. Last year we were really lucky. We didn't get very much hail, but most years we get a lot of hail. And so you want to have a garage. That's just your clue. You want something to park your car in, or you're going to be getting hail damage repairs all the time. So, it's a good idea on your nicer vehicles to carry the coverage that covers hail damage. So this is actually a slide of a sign over the interstate that was warning us of possible large hail and tornadoes and flash floods. And this was in June, and we were driving. Oh, my hair keeps getting in my face. We were driving to Denver, and we kept seeing tornado chasing vehicles all along the way on the overpasses waiting for tornadoes. So that was kind of creepy. And then we got down into Colorado, there was a tornado, but we got by before it got any closer. So yeah. And in the winter, of course, you're going to have winter storms. And so the hail comes in the summer, and it could happen anytime during the summer. Usually the hail season is going to start around June, and it might run through August is when we're going to get hail, which the next question is, how do you garden here? Gardening is very difficult because of the hail. So, and we have a short growing season. So a lot of people will start their plants inside. Maybe they have a greenhouse. And then if you put them out, you're just at the mercy of the hail. Okay, my next slide is just more about the weather and just has some pretty pictures I've taken. One is Devil's Tower, which you probably recognize if you've ever seen Close Encounters of the third kind, with Richard Dreyfuss. And then another one is the mountain view from Bighorn, Wyoming, of the Bighorn Mountains. And another one's just a cute little bird on a fence post. But this is about the hail and the wind. So yes, I read an article earlier that said that Wyoming is ranked the second most windy state in the country. I don't doubt that. I would say not every place is super windy. The worst places for wind, Casper and down along Wheatland, Cheyenne is windy. That whole corridor through there is just windy, and I would never live in Casper because I hate wind. And I actually have a friend of mine who got her leg broken because the door blew shut on her leg in Casper. So this next one is on guns. A lot of people move here because they like our gun laws. And you can open carry, and you can also conceal carry here without a concealed carry permit. Now that doesn't mean you can cross the border and go to Colorado without a permit. No, you're going to need a permit to go to other states. But so far as staying in Wyoming goes, you can conceal carry without any kind of permit. And it's a very pro-gun state. Pro-gun, a lot of pro-gun legislation has been passed. Okay, so this next slide is about politics in Wyoming. If you don't want to talk about politics, then this is the time to turn off this video. But for those of you that are interested in politics in Wyoming and are considering moving here because of our politics, I want you to know that it's very easy to become involved in the political process in Wyoming. It is a very red state. So if you aren't conservative, or if you don't really consider yourself a Republican, you can't get very far in politics. You pretty much have to be a Republican. All of our statewide electeds, including our governor, are registered Republicans. They ran as Republicans. They are Republicans. And then our Washington delegation, we have one representative in the House that is Harriet Hageman. And then we have our two senators, and that is John Barrasso and Senator Cynthia Lummis. So this slide just kind of shows me and my family in our involvement in politics. My husband and I back in 2012 at the National Republican Convention in Florida. We went. My husband was an alternate delegate for the state of Wyoming, and I just went as his guest, but as a grassroots organizer. My daughter with Senator Cynthia Lummis. My son, the really tall guy in the middle between Senator Barrasso and Liz Cheney. And then below that is my daughter with Liz Cheney and the former Vice President, Dick Cheney. Okay, if you guys want me to make more videos, please comment down below on what you'd like the topics to be. I could always use ideas. And please like and subscribe.